What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing. Gonna do something a little bit different tonight. That's right. We're gonna do a little bit of a throwback. So we've been doing this channel now for almost 2 years. Gonna be 2 years come January. And so when we first started doing lake breakdowns, definitely didn't know as much now as I knew, or I said that vice versa. I didn't know as much then as I know now. So been able to really learn a lot of stuff through these breakdowns. And I want to go back and I want to go back and do some of the lake breakdowns I've done previously when we first started that had the bad background music, all that jazz. Eliminate all of that, give you guys an updated video. But on this one, it's even better because tonight we're going to break down Lake Fork. And if you're from this area, you will know that the dam had to have some work on it. So it let a ton of water out. It was like 6, 7 feet deep, or 6, 7 feet down at one point in time. I still think it's like 4 or 5 feet down right now. So we've got some really good imaging based on that lake being so far down. So I was able to find some new spots and things like that, as well as just update everything. So tonight, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start back a new series for Lake Fork. This will be our second lake breakdown for Lake Fork. Let's get started. All right, well, here we are on Lake Fork. Let's go ahead and zoom in and see what all we can find here. Now, as I mentioned, I have broke down Lake Fork before. This is going to be our second time going around, but I have found some new stuff with the lake being down that I wanted to share with you guys. We've also updated some of the points in here, so I think you're really going to like it. So let's go ahead and start down here at the dam. The crazy thing here, guys, is going to be because they just drew all the water down from the dam not too long ago from me creating this video, the water is still down a ton, 6, 7 feet, something like that. So if we go back here to 2021 or 2022, that is actually going to be the lake at one of its lowest levels. So we're able to find stuff that we've never been able to find before. So basically what I've done out here, let me go ahead and show you if you've never been through one of our lake breakdowns before. Over here on the left-hand side, this is basically how we have everything categorized. So if we want to just fish around creek channels and ditches, let's say, we can go up here, we can click on the creek channels and ditches, and you can see all of them with these little highlighted lines. So if you want to go back in here in Little Caney, you can go back in here in Little Caney and you can basically follow the creek channel. You can go back into Big Caney as well and follow the creek channels back there, and Running Creek and Coffee Creek, you've got them back there. So we'll take a look at all those when we get further into the breakdown. Also found a lot of different cover. This is going to be laydowns, brush, debris, shell, things that just look weird that you need to try, levees. I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff that you could check. So definitely want to go over those with you guys. We also have Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. They've put quite a few of them out here on Lake Fork. And if you don't know about Lake Fork being a good crappie lake, it is an excellent crappie lake with huge slabs. But if you're like me and really prefer bass fishing, I still take advantage of these brush piles or whatever they are, fish attractors, PVC attractors, whatever they are, they will still attract the bass as well. It's definitely a good place to go to try to find some big ones. All right, we've also got offshore hotspots. We've got quite a few different offshore hotspots that are out there. I'll draw this back so we can actually look at them really quick. Give me a second. It's got to update the date and zoom us in here, and then we're going to take a look at it. So right here, all the different offshore hotspots, we're going to go through that with the Navionics mobile app. That'll be probably in 2 or 3 videos, but we'll break down all the different offshore hotspots and why we believe those are really good hotspots to take a look at. Then from there, we've also got lots of different boat ramps. There are boat ramps all over this place. There's private ramps, there's public ramps. But as you know, that boat ramp pattern can be really, really good. Right now, obviously, with the lake being down so low, it's not a great pattern, but that is going to become a really good pattern once the lake goes back up. We've also got roads, ditches, ponds, all kinds of different stuff to take a look at. And finally, last but not least, different areas where there's actually some rock on Lake Fork. You don't find a lot of rock on Lake Fork. So these are the different areas where we've really been able to locate it, where it seems to be pretty prevalent. All right, so let's go ahead and basically put everything on. We're going to take off the offshore hotspots, so we don't want to look at that. Like I said, we're just going to move the date up to the current date because that's really the best date that we have. We always start at the dam, we work our way east and north, and so that's what we're going to do here. So let's just start right here at the dam. Basically, the dam on Lake Fork really isn't that good to me. I mean, it's still good. You can definitely fish it, but I always like the bigger riprap. This is more just the concrete. There's still some pretty good fishing down here by the dam, especially right over in here. So this little spot right here, Texas Park and Wildlife has a fish attracting site right there, but there's also a lot of rock up on top of this thing. So you definitely want to come take a look at this. This is an offshore hotspot. When we put the offshore spots on, this will be one of them. But this is definitely an area where you can find some fish. It's a really good spot to fish on Fork. Now, as we move down here, we get past the dam. The next place that I really like is going to be right in here. And you can see the top of this. It almost looks like shell beds. But here it looks like you might have a little bit of rock or something. There's something going on top of this little point that sticks out. And just by the way it sets up, you've got really shallow here, and then you got that point that comes out. That makes it a really good area to take a look at. So definitely look in there. And then if the water's up, or once it finally comes up, you've got a lot of riprap over here around this area where this boat ramp is. Having a hard time thinking of what I'm trying to say here. Sabrine River Authority is back here. This is one of their main boat ramps, and there's a lot of riprap all along these bank lines. Now, right now, that's all going to be exposed because this is basically what it looks like as of right now. It may be up just a little bit further, but just really not a lot to fish as far as up on the bank. So anyways, you see all that rock that's there. You may want to check out right here too. See this little point that comes out? It looks interesting. There's not a lot on it, but it definitely has that little wider shade to it, like it could possibly have shell or something like that up on top of it. So you may just want to check that little tip of that little point there and see what you can find. Now let's go ahead and keep going up. We're going to go up the Big Caney side, see what else we can find up in here. So as I move further up, obviously almost all the points on Fork are good. There's not too many points that you don't fish on Fork that aren't decent points. So definitely, pay attention to that. When you're on Fork, you've got a lot of opportunities to fish points. And sometimes that's the easiest way just to find the fish, is just to go fish the points. So you got a decent one here, nothing too special. There could be maybe a little bit of rock right there, but wasn't really enough for me to be able to validate and say, yeah, go fish there. You've got a boat ramp back in here, a couple different boat ramps to fish. This little isolated rock right in here, though, looks really interesting. That could be a great place to fish in the fall and in the spring as well. So definitely check out that spot in there. As we move up here, we've got another personal boat ramp. Got a little bit of rock that's out here. There's not a ton of it on Lake Fork, but you can see some right in here, and you can see some more right in here as well. Those areas are going to be primo. These even have some laydowns by them, but primo once that water comes back up. Then as we move up, the next thing we're going to find up here are just some really good points and things like that. So right in here, this is a decent looking point, nice little flat top on it. It's got a lot of rock right up closer towards the bank lines. So this whole area in here looks good. You've got a Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor that's out here in the middle of nowhere that if you didn't know it was there, you'd probably just go right over it. That could be a sweet little honey hole there. Got some boat ramps back in here. Nothing too special to really point out to you guys until we get more up off of this point. This point's got definitely a lot of riprap all around it. Now, right now, obviously the water down, you've got a couple laydowns you could fish around, but that's going to be about it. But they're still on these points that just have nothing on them, or at least they were the last time I was out there. So as we move up around this, I really like this saddle area. Right here, if I zoom in here, you'll see it's bright white right in there. But that is a perfect place for fish to be attracted to. So if that water comes up, that is going to be a great place to try to find some fish. Even back in here as well, this little saddle in here too, that could be a great place to find fish. And Len and I have caught plenty of fish just right out here off the edge of this point, just right in here. There's not much there, but definitely they'll collect up chasing bait, and you'll be able to find them in those spots. Now, as we move a little bit further up, I'm going to zoom back out, show you where I'm at. I'm getting closer to the 154 boat ramp. I'm going to come up here. Obviously, you got some pretty good points again. You can fish all those points. You got some pretty good laydowns that are right in here. Just an area where there's not a lot going on the bank line, but right in here, you got some really significant laydowns. The water's not up right now for us to be able to fish those, but that's going to be a great spot once that water does get back up to full cool. Now, as we get back in here, I didn't see too much in these little coves really to mark for you guys. Obviously, there's stuff to fish back in there, just nothing that I could find from a Google Earth standpoint to really make it worth your while. There's a lot of different ramps in here. So as you go up here, you'll find these little private ramps. You can check those out. You may want to check out this little saddle in here as well, and this little point. Those are going to be good. Probably already marked as an offshore spot, but definitely this little island that's out here, and then the saddle part of the island. Don't forget to fish those areas. Sometimes this is better than the outside. You've also got some more ramps, a ramp there, another ramp there, ramps or slabs, whatever you want to call them. Plenty of ramps there, another one there, and then you've got another ramp up there. So as you get up here, we're getting up here by this Highway 154 public boat ramp. We've got some rock that's along the bank line right here. You can see it, some riprap, and then just some concrete, weird looking stuff. But that sometimes that stuff will collect the fish, but the water's definitely got to be up higher for us to be able to take advantage of it. You've also got the ramp that's right there. And then further up here, just off this point, you can see that stuff again, those little rock slabs or concrete things. I don't even know what they are, but they can really be good to find the fish. But again, you just got to get the water up a little bit higher. Typical Lake Fork boat ramp. This is January of 22 is what it says. And the entire parking lot is full. It's just the way this lake gets it, man. This lake gets it all the time. You've got some rock over here all around this ramp that you could fish. You've also got some rock up here by this bridge by 154. I didn't mark it because you can't see it on Google Earth, but there's a little brush pile right in here somewhere. And I've caught a few fish in there as well. So when you're coming over here and fishing this rock, just come out here and just scan this area and see if you can find that little brush pile. It's somewhere right in that area. You got a boat ramp here, pretty decent little point there. And then as you come back here, you get into this really nice little long cove. And I've seen a lot of bait in this cove, collecting in this cove for sure, especially recently. So as you're coming over here and you're fishing around these points, obviously on Fork, you want to take advantage of these trees, all these stick ups and stuff like that. So if you look here on this point, come around the point, you've got a pretty good little tree line right there. So you definitely want to fish that around there. You want to come down, fish these laydowns. Those laydowns are going to be money when the water goes up. That is a perfect place to find some giants. You've also come down here. You've got another little tree line that's back here, some boat ramps, some more laydowns. And if you look at this one on the map, it's really interesting because the creek channel comes through here and it swings right up against these docks right in here. So even right now, with the lake being so low, 6-7 foot low, this dock is still in, I think, 10 or 12 foot of water. So this is a really good area. I can definitely see this being a great place to find fish, especially just right here in this little spot right here. So definitely check it out. Ramps, more ramps, and ramps and ramps and more ramps. When you get back in here, this is a tree mess. So it's not like you can go on plane or you're probably just going to get on your trolling motor and you can fish around some of these trees, try to line yourself up with the creek channel, if you can find it. But if you can get far enough back in here, especially when the water's up, you've got a couple different decent little creek channels that are back here. One right there and the other one on that side. Obviously right now, that's only I think last time we were in there, it was like a foot or 2 foot of water. It was super shallow, so super hard to get back in there. But as we move out of this little cove, we've got a couple more things over here. This bank line wasn't as good. It's got a lot of timber on it and stuff like that. But a couple more laydowns that are in here that are exposed right now. You've also got a ramp that's right there that you can take advantage of. Some more rock that's over here. I think I've used that ramp before. I just can't remember the name of the that neighborhood that it was in. But anyway, it's pretty decent little ramp. I think it's like $5 to use that one. Now, if you get over here off the edge of this point, again, we were just right over here by 154, right? 154 is right here. So we're just going to come over here to this first point. Off the edge of this point, right in here, you've got a really good hard area. Now, again, notice we got Tree City, but we got quite a bit of rock right in here, just right there in that little spot. Really like that, especially, again, once we get some water in this lake. This thing's ridiculous. All right, so as we move this further up, didn't see too much going on here. I mean, pretty much everything on Fork looks like you should fish it. But right over here, we've got some pretty big laydowns back in here. Really like that. That dock looks like it has some pretty decent depth even right now. And then we've also got some interesting stuff over here. Somebody's made a big old brush pile and a huge laydown right here. It looks like they drug this out or something, but there's a nice ledge that's right there. So once that water gets up here and gets where it's supposed to be, that's going to be a pretty decent little drop right there, pretty shallow as well. So I could see that being decent. Again, once we get there, and then over here we got off of this point. This point looks pretty good. I think I'd marked it as an offshore spot, but I can't tell if this is rock or if that's just like hard dirt because it's been exposed for so long. But that point looks pretty good. I definitely would fish that point for sure. And I didn't mark it, but if you look right over here to the right of that point, I've actually got a decent little laydown that's over there as well. So we're going to come over here into this first little pocket. This one looks pretty interesting. Didn't see too much back in here, but you got the Texas Park and Wildlife brush pile that's right here, or maybe not brush pile, but fish attractor. And then as you get back in here and you swing around and get around this little dock that's back here, you've got a pretty decent little ditch that runs through here. And I think if we actually move that up to other earlier years, that ditch was a lot more prevalent, but doesn't look as good now in 2022, but it's still a pretty decent little ditch that you could go in there. You can see it comes right from that pond and runs right through there. Again, sometimes those can be magical little spots. Up here, basically not much going on back in here. You got maybe a little ditch coming back through here, but just nothing that I could really get too excited about and mark for you guys. So we're going to keep moving up. We're going to go up this bank line. Now we're getting up here into this next little pocket where it says Long Branch and Bell Branch. I always just call this Big Caney. That's the easiest way for me to remember it. And then Running Creek here and Coffee Creek's up that way. That's kind of the way that I always remember it. But as you're getting up here, kind of like the middle, you got a hump that's out here, number one. So you definitely want to fish around that hump. And then if you back down just a little bit, right in here, you've got some really good rock. And you're like, where did that come from? Because there's nothing in Fork that looks like that has that kind of rock. But that's some really, really good rock. Be fun to fish around that for sure with some square bills and things like that. So then as you move up here, you get into this next little creek that's in here. You also got a nice little creek channel that's way back in here. You get way back up in there. Again, you're going to have to get through all those trees to do it, but that's pretty much what you do on Lake Fork. They've got a pretty good little point here as well. This one comes out pretty good. Nice little flat top on it. I like that one. Coming up in here, I don't know how good this spot is, but this just looks good because you've got the pond dam here, and if the water got up enough, that's probably like 8-9 feet, just that little bitty pocket right in there. So there's nothing that really I can mark for you guys there, but I'd say go check it out, man. It's at least worth a try. I never noticed that there until I did this breakdown right now. So I'm gonna have to go check that out next time I go out there. Now, as we move further up the bank line up here, we're getting up here close to this 1260 county road that's up here. But we get up here about halfway up the bank line. There's an old dock and some old debris and stuff like that, and that's a great place that fish really love to, just to concentrate around. So as we move up here, notice this little county road here, and notice how it used to be going across there. And so I've marked the road for you there. Definitely want to scan all around that area. There could be rock there. There could be debris down there. There's no telling what's down there. But those old road beds can really be good spots to find fish. So check out that road bed. I like how it relates pretty close to that point as well. There's a little bit of rock on that point too. So if we zoom in, you'll see it. A little bit of rock pile right there. And then back in here, you've got a pretty good little creek channel that comes in here. Not too bad. So I kind of like that one. Nice little flat back there as well. And then you've got a pretty decent laydown that's right in here. So pretty good stuff just right there in that little area. Now, as we get up here, we're getting into to Glade. So we're coming across 515 now. So we're going to come right underneath 515. Next thing we're going to come in here, we're going to get up here to Running Creek, which is right here. We're going to come up here. First thing is this little boat ramp back here. I fished this and caught fish off here too. I like this little spot right here. Don't know why they like it, why they're attracted to it, but that's a good spot to find some fish. Then moving on up here, we're going to keep moving up this bank line. There's some decent docks and things to fish up here. There's not too much I can mark for you on that little stretch. But right in here, off the top of this point, we've also got some more rock. Notice it kind of goes on like a little pattern right here. This whole little area right in here. Wobbleheads, crankbaits, jigs, dragging that stuff across that rock can definitely get you a bite. Square bills as well. These docks are pretty good, pretty decent depth in these docks. And we've caught quite a few fish actually just in this little creek channel here. So you got this creek channel that comes through the backside of this goes directly underneath this dock. So, water's up, dock's money for sure. But this creek channel, you can see it. Those trees actually follow it. You can just get right in the middle of it or right off the edges of it. And really, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on the areas where it has the turns. So, any turns that are in here. And then as you're in there and you're fishing those trees, make sure to spend a lot of time on the big ones. So, if you're there and there's 10 trees around you, and all of them are pretty much the same, but one's just a little bit bigger, or maybe it's a lot bigger than the other ones, that's where your big fish are going to be. So you want to stay on the bigger ones. Fish them all, but fish the bigger ones a little bit. Take a little bit more time on those bigger ones. I think you'll be surprised at what you can find there. You've also got some more shallow rock that's back in here, another little slab, another slab back in here, a little ramp. You got some debris, some brush. Right here, you got just like a little brush pile or a bunch of laydowns right here, just right off the edge of that flat. And then over here, you've got some pretty good brush in here too. I'd imagine this is those people from the dock are putting that stuff out there. Because also by that dock, if you zoom in, he's got a bunch of debris right here as well, just right beside the dock. So it's funny being out there now with the water being down so low. A lot of these docks, you can tell, I should just go out there and mark each one of them that has a brush pile underneath it, because you can definitely tell right now which ones have brush piles and which ones don't. As we move over here along this point, and again, we're just coming up here into Running Creek, but we came up 515, and now we're up here by this first point. We've got some laydowns that are over here, so you can see pretty good laydowns. Decent little dock there. Fished that one before. Got some more laydowns back in here. Pretty good little docks that you can fish. A couple different slabs or boat ramps that are back in here. Little private ones. When we get further up here, we've got some more laydowns that are over here by these docks. But other than that, there wasn't really a ton of stuff that I could mark for you right in there. Now, as we went through there, these docks that are here, I believe it's this one. Nope, that's not it. I was going to show you which one was the Rick Clun dock. I got to find it first. This one right here. This is what we call the Rick Clun dock. So this is what Rick Clun was catching some really decent fish all right in this area, right around this dock. Now, the water was up to probably full pull when he was doing it. But he was catching some really good fish on this dock and in this area around those other docks. So these are really good docks to be fishing. We talked about those rocks up there. We talked about that creek channel. We went all the way up here. We talked about that laydown. Now this 2225, this road right here, you can tell it comes up and it disappears. And it's got to connect somewhere up in here, or used to connect somewhere up in here. So somewhere along in here, I don't know where, but there's got to be a road bed right in here. So you definitely need to check out and see if you can find some stuff in here. This is really stumpy up in here. But when we look at it on the mobile app, we'll be able to see where that road is. We'll probably find some culverts and stuff like that that are out in this area. All right, so before we do that, let's run up here to the right side and let's talk about this little creek that's up here. This is Crane Creek. I've actually never fished up in here because every time I go out there, the water's low, but this looks like it's got a pretty decent little creek channel that comes in here. Lots of turns. You've got some debris that's out here, maybe possible even like a brush pile. All kinds of good stuff, but the problem is it's just a total stump field up in there, so you got to be really careful. But look at that creek channel. You can even follow it over here. Looks really good. And then if you come down here, there's a little foundation that's out here. This is either a foundation or I'm thinking it's a foundation. It kind of looks like a foundation. So you got a pretty decent little foundation that's out there hidden. And then over here, you got a little culvert that's out here too. This looks like a possible roadbed that comes through here as well. So anyways, those spots in there could be really, really good, especially once we can access them. Now, up in here, this is one of my favorite places to fish. I can't get to it right now because it's just too shallow. I don't want to tear my boat up. But this is Coffee Creek. You got to be careful coming in here. You got some boat lanes that will take you pretty close to it. But this creek channel obviously is really good. I've never fished out here. I've usually started at the bridge and worked my way back. But I love this area of Lake Fork. So you've got the boat ramp is right here at Coffee Creek. And then here's basically the creek channel. So once you can get in there, you can just basically follow that creek channel, fish around the bends, the big stuff, the laydowns. We've even caught fish over here. I've seen an 8-pounder caught right in here. I mean, this is just a great place to fish. Lots of hydrilla back in there and stuff like that. Really good place to fish. Now, as you swing over and you come over here into this next one is going to be Running Creek. So it says Carroll Creek right there, but this is Running Creek up here. So if we come up in here, when we get up here, the first thing you find is right here. And I really like this area right here. This is an old road bed. Um, right here is a nice little spot to fish. Right here, where I put road. Out here in the middle, I've seen people fishing out there. This is an old bridge that's out here. I thought it was a culvert at first, but when we went and fished it the other day, it's actually a bridge. You got some rock in here. This is definitely like a community spot that I see people fish out a lot. And then as you move your way back in here, can't really pick up the creek channel too much until I get further back in here, but here's your creek channel that's marked. So you can go up here and just follow the creek channel around and fish all around. That's a great place to find some fish. I love that place. Maybe that is Carroll Creek, and I've always called it Running Creek. But anyways, I always thought this was running and this was coffee, but now Google Earth's telling me it's something a little bit different. So the locals that are for Fork are probably laughing at me right now. All right, so as we move down here, some more stuff along this bank line, then we'll probably cut off the video for today, and we'll stop out here at this point. But you got a couple more boat ramps that are over here, some slabs. There's actually some hydrilla that will grow up in, like, I think it was right in this area somewhere. It's pads or hydrilla or something, I can't remember, but it was down this little bank line. It was kind of hidden in here off this last little dock right here. So it was like right in this spot. But check that out. And then also just come through here if you're pounding that bank line and check out all these different laydowns that are out there, because you got some pretty significant ones that are down that bank line. Then as we get out here and we come off of this point, we're going to stop right here. This is a great offshore spot. Excellent offshore spot to fish. Definitely should go check it out. I think even one of the pro fishermen were out here and caught some really big fish around this point. So it's definitely a good area to go take a look at. So let's go ahead and finish up there. I didn't mention it on the video yet, but I'm sure you've seen the little banner ads that have been popping up. But check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. You can get all of these waypoints put onto an SD card, or I can email them to you and you can put them on an SD card yourself. And then take that and pretty much import it into your graphs so you can have these. It will totally change the way you fish when you're out there, especially when you're fishing those creek channels or you're on a certain pattern. It just makes things so much simpler. So go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.